I've just been given a little more than maybe 25 minutes, so it's going to be really tough for me to be very concise and to the point, but I'll try my best. The topic given to me is why Deming, why now, why India, but before I get into that, just some of the reasons why I'm here. One of the major reasons I'm standing in front of you is my late father, of course, but the connection that I discovered that my father had to Japan, quality, Deming maybe, I don't know, was around 2-3 years after he passed away. But he was in Japan in 1964, and he was there for 6 months. He was on scholarship. It was the AOTS, Asian Overseas Technical Scholarship. And he worked in a company called Showa Electric, which eventually won the Deming Prize in 1965. Now, because he was there in Japan in 1964, and after he came back to India, he was there on training, like I said. And so in 1980, when the Japanese goods flooded the American market and it became part of folklore that the Japanese had really taken over the American markets with the quality of their goods, obviously people started visiting my home in India to find out from my father what he learned from the Japanese. And so many people would come home and speak to him, and I would see he would be addressing these people at home and sharing a lot of his experiences. And that's when I remember this one thing that he kept telling the people, that there were 2 Americans who helped the Japanese, but no names. And obviously I was very young, and it didn't make any sense to me at that point in time, but I just knew that my father was talking about something very important. People were very important at that point in time. He passed away in 1994, and I got into the field of quality management in 1994. At that point in time, when I got interested in quality, I decided to do a course in quality, the first of its kind in India. And that's when the history of quality was being explained, and the names Deming and Duran were taken. And that's when I got the connection. I said, oh my God, my father meant these 2 gentlemen. All right, and that's where the whole spark just lit, and somehow I connected to the name Deming. Now, a year later, when I was going through his work, so I discovered something, and it just left me choked. I found a bunch of papers in his drawer. I don't know if you can see this. It says that Showa Electric and Wire, and see the title of the paper, Management of Quality. My father was into quality. I didn't even know it. And did he meet Deming and Duran? I don't know. I will never know. I tried getting in touch with his colleagues from that point in time and asked them. Many of them were not even there. And I said, do you know, did my father ever speak about this? And they said, all we know, he was crazy about Japan and the Japanese people. He loved Japan and the Japanese people. And so when I got out of Mary Walton's book, and there was a sentence there about Dr. Deming, and it said that he loved Japan and the Japanese people after his own heart, and I said, that's my father. That was the connection, the first connection. This is how I got introduced, and I realized that I had a different connection with W. Edwards Deming. He obviously was into all this. Obviously, the person whom I will always be thankful to is Henry Neve. I think you can see them there in the center. This is 16 years ago when I was over in England. Again, back from America, I was going back home, and I decided to spend some time with him. And the other gentleman in the beard is David Carriage, for those who know this. And the history behind the Father Christmas thing was that I was supposed to be picked up by David Carriage at the airport because Henry would not be able to make it, and he wrote a note to me and said that David will be there to pick you up at the airport, and he looks a lot like Father Christmas. I hope you know who Father Christmas is. Right. I said, I know who Father Christmas is because, well, though I come from India, we celebrate all the festivals there. We're quite secular in that sense. And I remember keeping our stockings in the night, waiting for Father Christmas to put something into it. Nothing happened, of course. But that's Henry with David Carriage. And a third gentleman I'd like to pay a tribute to before I begin. He's in India, a gentleman by the name Dr. P.K. Datta. Well, this gentleman was actually into management of quality, and he met with Dr. Duran. But when he needed help, and he wrote a letter to Dr. Duran and said, I need some help in quality management. Well, you won't believe what I'm going to tell you right now, but Dr. Duran told him, I think you need to meet Dr. Deming. And at that time, Dr. Deming was quite a recluse. I think in the 1970s, he wasn't meeting many people. And so Dr. Datta came here, I think, towards the end of 70s, and that is when Dr. Deming was being rediscovered here. And the person who took him to meet Dr. Deming was Myron Tribus. And that's how I heard about Myron, and I connected with Myron through Dr. Datta. Now, Dr. Datta is one of the few people in my country who's actually met Dr. W. Edwards Deming, not once, but twice. Once at his home, and the second time was in Birmingham in 1992 when he took the Deming 40. And that's how the connection was. So these are the people I'd like to pay a tribute to before I begin. Now, getting into why Deming, why now, why India, so I'm getting into the why Deming bit. Now, why did I choose Deming? I just said that there was a personal connection, but there was something else that happened. After I completed the course in quality management, I was called up by the people in the college, and this was a part-time course, so I used to take classes in the evening. They told me that they wanted me to teach. And the topic given to me was, well, the works of the quality gurus. And here was a list given to me. The quality gurus. Well, I only see one guru there. I'm not demeaning the other two, I don't mean that. But I need to understand the meaning of the word guru. There's been a big misconception about this. This word, of course, comes from my country, and I know this has been distorted very badly. So I'm going to take this opportunity to explain to you what the word guru means. It's not a teacher. It's not someone who shows you the way. It's not that easy. It's a metaphor. And for that, I'll be a little on the abstract sense and esoteric sense, and you can just let your mind wander a little, but you'll understand this. Apparently, the story goes like this, that when God created all of his creatures, that's angels, demons, humans, and animals, he gave them all the same powers, and he said, go enjoy yourself. Now, the angels were the only ones who understood the importance of these powers, so they never misused or abused them. The demons, well, they tended to use them in a wrong sense, but they could be controlled. The animals were ignorant about their power, but the humans were the worst. They misused and abused these powers like you can't believe it. And so God called for a meeting with the angels and said, well, we need to take away these powers from them, but I can't do that, because once I give something, I don't take it away. So what do? So let's hide these powers somewhere. So where do we hide them? So let's hide them way on top of a mountain, so that they'll never find it. But they said, no, humans are too inquisitive, they'll climb the mountain and they'll find the powers right there. So okay, then where do we hide them? Well, let's hide them in the depths of the ocean, and let them, for the rest of their lives, try to figure out where the hell the damn powers are. It says, no, well, they're very inquisitive, they'll go deep to the depth of the ocean, they'll find it there too. Then what do? It says, let's do one thing. Let's hide it inside of them. And their whole life, they'll keep searching for the powers, but they'll never find them. And the guru is the man who helps him discover those powers. Dr. Deming is a guru. Because the others, well, they focused a lot on methods. But I don't think Dr. Deming ever focused on methods. He focused a lot on thinking. He helped you discover things. And you could never teach Deming by reading his book. You had to experience it. You had to go through it to make people understand what it is. And I realized that when I was reading the other books and I was trying to teach, for the sake of Philip Crosby, I read his books and made notes, and then I would come to class and deliver the lectures, and people, they said they understood things. Dr. Duran, well, there's a plethora of books which he wrote, but W. Edwards Deming was a challenge, and unless you really got into it, you really wouldn't be able to teach it. That's one of the things I understood. Even it was the 14 points to begin with. You just can't rattle them off and say this is point 1, this is point 2, and I realized it was much more than that. But the change came when I started reading the New Economics, and that's when I introduced for the first time, in a college in India, profound knowledge. This was 20 years ago, as you can see here.
Wow.
Well, I want to say today that the college where I teach right now, because I switched to full-time teaching from being in a company, and the college where I teach right now, we're the only college in India that has the Deming system of profound knowledge as a part of the curriculum. We teach this. And we know the college in India that actually teaches this. They teach quality management, yes, but they don't get into the Deming system of profound knowledge. They only talk about Deming's 40 points. I know this for a fact, because there was a study that was done recently by people, a committee that was hired by people in my college to make a comparison of the syllabi that we had designed with the other syllabi available in the country. And then they found we were the only college teaching Deming system of profound knowledge. And so, it just happened just a month or so before I landed here, the committee suggested that we update our syllabus, and they removed profound knowledge. And just 2-3 days before I left to come here, I got a call from the director of academics in my college and said, well, we made a mistake, profound knowledge is back. So I can continue to say that we continue to be the only college in India to teach this. So that's why Deming. I found it different. It was not the same as, like I said, rattling off points from somewhere, axioms, steps, methods. There is no Deming method. You like it, you do it your way, but you think the way Deming taught you, and you do that. The influence that he's had on my thinking is amazing, and without even being there, and that's the beauty of why Deming. Now, if you look at what I learned from Deming, this is one of the greatest things I learned from him, that all of the knowledge cannot be contained in one person. One person does not have all the knowledge to look at everything around you, and so we need to work together. We need to cooperate. And he says here that when you learn more and more about processes and systems around you,
that's true.
Well, you enjoy what you do. And when you enjoy what you do, people have to stop you from working. Well, that's Deming for you. And he always said this, and this of course is based upon the paragraph which I find most useful in the original edition of the New Economics on page 123, sounding like Deming now. Well, in the new edition that you have, it's on page 85, I checked. All right? And this is what I love, when he says that it takes us to a new method of reward. And I love this, when he says that the result will in time be greater innovation, applied science. He wasn't just talking quality. That's why he's not just a quality guru. He's something else. And he is a guru in the true sense of the word. In the last sentence where he says that everyone will win, no losers. That's why Deming. Why now? Well, if not now, then when? Over the last decade or so, all right, with the advent of the internet, two things have changed, of course. The concept of space and time. When you talk about space, we talk about geographical dispersion. Well, with the advent of the internet, geography is now history. Well, don't get me wrong, the hills and the valleys do exist. What I meant is that geographical dispersion does not really matter any longer. We're connected, we're even more connected. I mean, Bill Bellows and I chat over Skype every other 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, there's no geographical dispersion here, we're connected. It's almost like, I mean, I saw all of his room on Skype before I actually went to his house the day before. It's as though I didn't have to navigate, I knew where what was. It was so beautiful, all right? And also if you're talking about space as in spatial arrangement, well, it's no longer square feet of area. I think we talk about gigabytes of space, but that's a space bit. The time bit, well, I think the time from when information is generated till it reaches its points of relevance and then being processed and come to a decision, that time has shrunk to seconds. It used to take months, maybe years. And Dr. Deming writes about this in his book where he says knowledge now travels without a visa. Well, it travels instantaneously now. I mean, we were connected to Dr. Bevan this morning. Would we have done this around 10 years ago? I don't know. No. We connected. So even more so today, if you talk about information being available everywhere, but that has led to an overcorrection. There's too much of information available everywhere and people don't know what to do about it. But we do need profound knowledge then. You need to have a systemic approach. You need to understand theory. You need to understand that it will not be the same every single time, and that every single person interpreting this knowledge is going to come up with a different kind of a decision. But that's profound knowledge today. That's why Deming now. We need him now, ever more than ever. We have information coming to us in the tip of a finger, but to use it and how to use it is what gives us profound knowledge. It's what separates the wheat from the chaff. Getting into this, coming to the last bit here, why India? All right, now coming to why India. When you say here, I'd like to begin with a little bit of a photograph which I came across some time back, which, well, I'll try to identify some of the people. I think some of you may know who they are, but okay. The person in the center wearing a cap on his head, that is India's very first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. To his right, the person in the specs, if you see to the extreme left, is a gentleman, Dr. P.C. Mahalanobis. He was Dr. Deming's colleague when Dr. Deming was doing his PhD under Sir Ronald Fisher.
Really?
And P.C. Mahalanobis was India's first ever chairman of the Planning Commission.
Huh.
And I remember 1998 when we were celebrating Dr. Deming's birth anniversary in India. We call it as Deming Day. I had requested for a letter from Diana Deming, and she graciously sent me a letter, and she remembered, and she said, my father's connection with India began with Dr. P.C. Mahalanobis.
Wow.
And his wife Rani. Now you can see a lady sitting down in the back. I don't know if you're able to notice, but that's his wife. Now the person next to Pandit Nehru, let me just put this here and tell you what I'm trying to say. I don't know how many of you know who this man is. Has anybody recognized him?
No.
That is Walter Schumhardt.
Oh my goodness. Huh.
Walter Schumhardt was the first
Schumhardt
honorary member of the Indian Statistical Institute. And this ceremony that you're just witnessing here was when he was made honorary member. So that's Walter Schumhardt, that's Pandit Nehru, that's P.C. Mahalanobis, that's his wife. All right, you're going to get a shock as to who this is. Bill Bellows, this is Dr. Junichi Taguchi.
Huh.
And he was witness to this when Walter Schumhardt was made, well, honorary member. And, well, in the tall frame at the back whom you cannot see, that's W. Edwards Deming.
Oh, really?
There he is at the back.
Hey.
And you can't even see him.
Nehru.
Now, he was in India because Mahalanobis had called him over, since he was a master of sampling and surveys, and they designed surveys together for, well, taking India's first ever census. We got our independence in 1947, and this was taken around the same time, a little later, right? And yeah, that's what this is. So you can see the connection. Why India? But at that point in time, this is what Dr. Deming said when he saw the sample design. He predicted this. And he said, no country has such a wealth of information about its people as India. Today I'm proud to say that we have what is called as a unique identification system in our country where every single citizen, their retinas have been scanned, their fingerprints have been noted. Every single person has an identity. This is one of the largest UID ever created in the world. The largest database, 1.2 billion people. And the seeds for that was sown by Dr. Deming way back in the 1950s. So there was phenomenal that all that we get to see today, the seeds were sown by him. He, of course, he never really interacted with people in India about quality. But funnily, in the last 20 years, 1998 to now, the highest number of Deming Prize winners in the world outside of Japan happen to come from my country.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But the funny thing is, they believe that they've understood the Deming philosophy by winning the Deming Prize, but these are two different things. When I founded the Deming Forum in India, I kept getting phone calls every other day. We want to go for the Deming Prize, help us. I said, no, I'm not here for the Deming Prize. I'm here to teach the Deming philosophy. How is that different? I said, very different. These are not the same. In fact, one of the Deming Prize winners in my country, well, when I was working, we happened to be suppliers to them. And they were over to our company to do a vendor assessment. And I remember them carrying their visiting cards with the Deming Prize, with the, the replica over there, the metal replica and things like that. And they must have been talking to people, and then one of them just opened their mouth and said, "Oh, you won the Deming Prize? We have a guy here. He's a Deming man." So I said, "What do you mean by that?" He said, "He's the founder of the Deming Forum here." He says, "Oh, we'd like to meet him." So he came up to me and said, "Hey, take a look at this. You're winner of the Deming Prize." I said, "I am aware." So he said, "But I hear that you teach the Deming philosophy. How is that different?" I said, "Very different." So he said, "Okay, so how is it different? Because we learned a little about the Deming philosophy." I said, "What did you read?" He said, "The 14 points." I said, "God bless." So he said, "You need this much more?" I said, "A lot more." So how do we learn from you? I said, "Pay me." I meant it as a joke, but I did. This is a misconception, but the way I look at it is, at least there's an awareness of who Dr. W. Edwards Deming is. And I want to build on that. And for the last 10 years or so, I've taken this opportunity of being in academia and reaching out to students, graduate, postgraduate. Like I said, I made the Deming system of profound knowledge a part of the curriculum. And believe me, these children come with no baggage, absolutely no baggage. They soak it in. And I'm willing to wait. When I began all of this in 2007, just around 2 years ago, one of my students called me up and said that I'm on my way to Japan. And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because I've been chosen as a part of the team. We're going for the Deming Prize." And he said, "They chose me because not just that I know about the Deming Prize, but I knew something about Deming that the others in the whole company did not." So I believe in this saying, you can count the number of seeds in an apple, but you can never count the number of apples in a seed. I'm just planting seeds.
Really?
I hope someday the apples will start coming. And I can see that. I'm willing to wait. So why India? Well, because we are ready for this.
Yep.
We are. And around 5 years ago, our Prime Minister made this call.
Make in India. This is so exciting.
On 15th of August, our Independence Day, he said, "Don't just come here to be made in India, let's make in India." And I think we need to have a systemic approach towards this, a Deming kind of an approach towards this. It was making in India, not just made in India. Not only that, something that has been troubling me personally, well, I don't know whether you've been updated about the status of farmers in India. They've been quite neglected a lot. The government is trying their very best, but it's all been a piecemeal kind of an approach. I'm no economist, but I feel that if you apply the Deming method, things will change. We need to look at it in a systemic manner and not in an isolated way. And that's why I feel we are ready for this. We are ready for the Deming philosophy. We are ready to implement this in whatever way we can. The best way to narrate what I feel about this, I'd like to end by sharing a little story. The story was doing the rounds of the internet some time back, so I'm very sure many of you know about it, but it doesn't matter. I'll just narrate it the way I want to. Well, it talks about a boy interested in this game called soccer, but we in India call it football, so I'm going to call it football, where you just translate soccer in your head. This kid who loved to play soccer, and he secured admission in a school that focused on games as well as studies and things like that. So when he got his admission, he was waiting for the day that the notice gets put up, the notice board that we're going to have trials for the soccer team. And he saw that one day and he got really excited. So he turned up at the trials with his father. His father went and sat over there in the stands as he waited for his turn. And then the coach called them in, and then they started the training. I think there were 22 people who were then shortlisted. He was on that list. And they said that now for the next 30 days, we're going to undergo extensive training. And after that, we're going to shortlist the 15 people for the football tournament. So he was most excited. He would come every single day of the month, and he would come with his father. His father would go sit there, and then he would report to the coach and then undergo the training for the next of the 2-3 hours. And then at the end of the entire training, he would go back, pick up his father, and they would go back home together. So his coach was watching every single day, and he said, wow, this kid never misses a single day. He's not a very good player, but he's very sincere. And after a month or so of seeing that, though there were many other talented players around, this kid, though not being that talented, was very regular, never missed a single day. The other ones maybe missed a day or two here and there. So when the final 15 were announced, the coach did not hesitate in picking this kid. But he told him, he said, you're not even half as talented as the rest, but I like your sincerity, so I'm taking you to the team. Don't expect that you're going to represent us at some tournament. You would be there, but I can't promise that you're going to play a game. And he said, I'm just fine. Now, that year they entered into the tournament, and there was a good chance that his school would reach the finals and maybe take the trophy. So they started, the tournament began, and they had the round robins going. And this boy kept on, he would be on the bench. He never got a chance to play, but he kept on cheering his team, and his father also came along, and he used to sit there in the stands. And at the end of the game, they would go back home. This went on through the round robin, and they started doing well. And then they reached the knockouts. When they reached the knockouts, they started with the pre-quarterfinals, and they won that, and they reached the quarterfinals, and they won that game, and then they reached the semis. But on the day of the semifinals, this boy went missing. He never turned up at the game. And the coach was wondering what happened, because he never missed anything so far. And though he missed the game, they won, and they reached the finals. Now the finals is going to be there a couple of days from now, but there was no message from this boy, nothing. So the coach got a little worried, and so sent out a little note and said, find out what happened to him. And then the note, his friends came back saying that, oh, he missed the match because his father died. So he said, okay, tell him that he can continue to be at home, and his people need him at home, it doesn't matter. But he turned up at the finals. And then the coach said, son, you need not have come. He said, no, it's all done, and I decided I'll be here for the finals. Besides, since we're here, I thought, let me just do my last bit. I wanted to cheer the team. He said, fine, sit down. Now what happened in that game was quite terrible. His team, at the end of the first half, was trailing 0-2. And the coach was at his wit's end, trying to figure out how am I going to get this going. There's just one half left. We just got 45 minutes, and we need to win this one. 30 minutes went by, and nothing was happening. The defense was impregnable of the opposition. There was nothing going on. He was really losing it. When there were just 10 minutes left for the game to get over, suddenly this kid came running up to the coach and said, Coach, I want to play. And this coach just stared at him and said, what? He says, yes, coach, I want to play. It's just 10 minutes, come on. And the coach started thinking, you know what? This may just be a game changer, because the opposition has not seen him. And so he called one of the tiring players out and sent this kid in and said, go play your game. That day, this kid played like a man possessed. He hit 3 goals, and his school went on to win the trophy, not just the match, but they went on to win the trophy. And they were all cock-a-hoop, the entire team, and they were jumping and dancing, and then they went back to the dressing room. They were hoisting him on shoulders since they'd won the whole damn thing. And the coach then walked in, and he just embraced that boy and said, you played like a man possessed today. He said, I was just thinking today, all these months, your father came and watched the game with you every single day.
He was with them.
And you didn't even play a fraction of what you did today. What got into you today? And he said, Coach, did you not know my father was blind? He never saw me play. But today that I was sitting on that bench, I realized that wherever he is, he can see me play. And so I wanted to play. I feel like that kid. When I walk into a class to teach Dr. W. Edwards Deming, I feel I'm being watched. he's watching.
That's great.
Yeah.
I keep reminding myself I better be good. Because someday I need to answer to him. I know this sounds eerie, but sometimes I sense his presence, but that's the way it is, and that's Deming for you. Just since 1997, we've been celebrating Deming Day in India. Till 2013, I was doing this on a public platform. But in the last 5 years or so, I've been doing it in my college. So we have a special program every 14th of October. Of course, this time I'm here. But next week, when I get back home, we will be celebrating Deming's Day. I want to take this opportunity once again to thank Bill and everybody at WEDI for giving me this opportunity to be before you. I've waited a long time for this. I don't know how good I've been or what I've been able to give to you, but thank you very, very much for being a patient audience.